Well, good evening, everybody. This is John Unell from Schuylkill Haven, Pennsylvania, aka John I Fly, or Johnny Fly, whatever you want to use, but I usually go by John I Fly because back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was a student pilot, and that's how I came up with the username the one day when I was on Facebook, and I thought, what would be a good username? And so that's how I came up with that name. But anyway, I hope everybody had a great week. It is Saturday night, 10:38 in the evening, a little later than what I usually like to do, but I didn't get to do this rant until now, so it's going to be a short one. But what a week. What a week we've had. Um, I see that they had a vote on Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she made some pretty wild remarks over the past few months. And I understand that she's a QAnon supporter. She subscribes to their views. I tell you, they had a special tonight too. I was watching it on CNN. Anderson Cooper talking about QAnon and the origins, how it started, and some of the things that they believe. It's like crazy, crazy stuff. And anyway, because of her remarks, the Congress, well, first of all, I should say, the minority leader of the House, McCarthy, he didn't do the job, so the Democrats had to. But that's usually how it works, isn't it? Republicans come in, screw things up, and it takes a Democrat to right the wrong, so to speak. But they did vote her out of committees. There were two committees she was involved in. I know the one was the Education Committee, and I think the other one had to do with budgets or whatever, Budget Committee. But I found it amazing. I was watching, I think it was today and the other day when it happened. Before the vote happened, she's sitting there. Oh, I really apologize. Well, I don't even know if she apologized. I guess she did. But it was like, I realize now that what happened in the school down there in Florida, that David Hogg and stuff and them, they went through, they actually had that happen where the shooter came in and stuff like that. And, she was trying to be all nicey, in other words. And I guess she was hoping that, well, maybe that little speech that she gave before they voted, that maybe they look at her and think, well, she's actually contrite. Yeah, we'll give it a second thought. And the surprise didn't work that way. Representative Greene got her ass kicked out of these two committees. And then afterwards she made a speech about it, very defiant. And she ended up saying, well, the Republican Party is actually the party of Trump. That's one truth that she actually admitted to. It's the truth. Republican Party is not what it used to be. It's now the party of Trump. And even though Trump's out of office, he still holds power over the party. It's crazy. If you would have told me a few years ago, I mean, I know the Republican Party since the 80s was turning into something I didn't really like. I never really considered myself a Republican. I more was registered a Democrat, and then for a time being I switched to independent because I didn't like what some of the Democrats did too. But if you compare the two parties, the Democrats care more for the working man. They care for the average American. And it's proof because of what we're seeing, what President Biden's doing now. And he's actually going to push this relief package through. I know there was a vote in the Senate about it, and Kamala Harris had to break the tie. So the resolution passed. It was 50-50 split, and then she came in 5:30 in the morning and voted in the affirmative. So it's just, I think the president still wants to see if he can get bipartisan support for it. And if he can, he's just going to push it through. You know, what was that he said? I heard the other day. He said the President Biden said the Republican Party either doesn't, the party or no, and there was something else he said, or the party of delay or something like that. And it's the truth. It's the truth. They either don't want to do it, and they find excuses as to not do it, especially if it's going to help the average person, the American worker. You know? But if it's something with the rich, oh yeah, no problem. They push that through. That tax cut that Trump pushed through, they had no problem with that. But come to a Democratic president wants to do it, oh man, you gotta watch. Man. That deficit's gonna really get deep. Yeah, right. That's bullshit. I'm sick and tired of hearing it. They could care less about the deficit, you know. If it's a Democrat in there, oh yeah, then they worry about, oh, it's a deficit, man. We don't want that deficit to get any bigger. But if it's a Republican, oh, we really need that. They're hypocritical. It's as simple as that, you know. But anyway, I got a kick out of this one. There's one GOP person. They argued that Representative Greene should not be penalized, in other words, lose her committee assignments, for what she said before she was elected to Congress. You know, I can't understand that logic. She's running for Congress. She's not yet elected, but her aim is to be elected in Congress. And, you know, I would think that if you're running for an office, whether it's Congress or whatever, you're definitely going to watch what you say, and, you know, you're going to have a platform, and you're going to come out and say, here's what I want to do, and here's what I stand for. You know, you're not going to lie about stuff. You're not going to come up with some stupid conspiracy theories like she did. But I guess in her case, it didn't matter. She didn't care. She didn't care. But he argued, I wish I had his name down here, but I caught it on TV. And I didn't get his name, but he argued that Representative Greene should not be penalized for what she said before she was elected to Congress. Well, I beg to differ. You know, you're going to lay down a platform, whatever. Then you got to stick to that platform. And when you say, you got to think, basically what it all comes down to is think before you open your pie hole. You know, it's the truth. Think. Because what you say will eventually have consequences. It's either going to be immediate or down the road. Well, that happened. And she tried to, you know, basically I didn't mean to say this, and this is, you know, bullshit. So she lost those committees, and she says, oh, well, I have such freedom now. I feel free. And then to add that little dagger. Well, the Republican Party is the party of Trump. That's the problem. These Republican people down there need to grow a set of balls and stand up, grow a spine, and stand up to this orange-haired idiot. They're so afraid, oh my God, he's going to come out and run. He's going to be influential in defeating us, and he's going to support people like in the primaries and stuff in 2022 that's going to cause them to lose their position and vote for their opposition. Whoever Trump supports, he'll support them and make it rough. And they're so afraid of that, and they want Trump's backing. Is a political position, is that really so important that you're going to throw out morals? You know, the Republican Party talks so much morality, family values. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And usually when they talk about family values, it's anti-abortion or women's rights or anti-abortion or whatever. Anti-LGBTQ plus rights. Anti-trans rights. You know, stuff like that. That's so important to them, you know. But having integrity when you're running for office and when you're in office, not so much. Well, anyway, that's crazy. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't have all the details, but what I did catch on TV, they mentioned on CNN the other day, 100 plus, now get this, 100 plus bills in 28 states, that's what they had mentioned the last, are being worked on to restrict voting. It's now moving through state legislatures. They're going to make it harder for people to vote. I know the one state they mentioned, they're going to require two forms of ID just to vote. And I'm sure they're going to come up with other ideas. And it's being pushed by the Republicans because they didn't like the fact that their ass was handed to them this last election. No, they lost. So now, tonight I heard on CNN too that it's basically being aimed at people of color. Because people of color came out and voted because it's their lives, it's their way of life that's going to be affected by who gets voted in. It's a shame, people, that we have racism in this country. For hundreds of years we've had it, at least over 400 years, racism in this country. And you would think now, 21st century, it would be better. It's not. And, you know, we as Americans need to just stand up against it. Let's not sit there and pretend, you know, it doesn't exist or push it under the rug. This is a topic that needs to be dealt with. And when I see this stuff going on, I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, it's going to be interesting to see how many more states. But this is being pushed by the Republicans, by the way. Should we be surprised? You know? They will do anything. The Republican Party will do anything to get into office by hook or by crook. And it's mostly by crook. That reminds me too. I don't know if it was a few days ago. I don't have the exact date, but recently, the state legislature in Pennsylvania voted down an equality legislation, an Equality Act. And that Equality Act would have covered, you know, all Pennsylvanians, but particularly the LGBTQ community, the the sexual community, anybody, people of color. And, well, guess what? All the Republicans voted no, and all the Democrats voted yes. And we have a state legislator from the House, State House of Representatives, Brian Sims, excellent man. I wish he would be representing Schuylkill County here where I live, but he's down around the Philadelphia area, Montgomery County area. He represents that area. But he actually made a plea for the whole state. And I did put it on my Facebook timeline maybe about a week ago, if that. And he made an impassioned plea. He says, I'm begging you, make available equal rights for all Pennsylvanians. Obviously, it fell on deaf ears. I mean, this is how Pennsylvania is, And unfortunately, a lot of states in this country, too, for that matter, they have a hard time dealing with gay people. I mean, I guess they don't have a hard time, though, when it comes time for us to pay our taxes. Our money's good, but nothing else is good. They can't give us our equal rights. That's what pisses me off. But anyway, I'm not surprised when Republicans are involved. Everything that's good and right and stands for freedom and equality, you can count on the Democrats to stand in our corner, not the Republicans. I know that sounds like a generalized statement, but it is. It is, on the whole. That's how it works. And that's one of my pet peeves because, the religious right's behind pushing a lot of the Republican Party. It's not a big movement, but it's a powerful movement, and they have a lot of money. And they direct it to, cutting down Democratic candidates that are for equal rights. And that's the thing we need to push. Now that Joe Biden's president and we have a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate, we need to push that Equal Rights Amendment. We need to get that passed. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take for them to get that put through. Right now we have the coronavirus. We're finally getting a handle. I don't have the figures in front of me, but it seems that we're getting a handle on the vaccinations, and that's good. We're starting to. I'm trying to think. We're getting more vaccinations, I think, than the cases coming in, or hospitalizations or something. I think the hospitalizations are starting to go down. We still have our death toll. The deaths, I think it's up to I think it's 470,000 now, if my memory serves me correctly. But this is a struggle, and that's why we have to be careful. So I think we just need to keep remembering: wear the mask, social distance, wash your hands for at least 22 seconds. I remember Sanjay Gupta, who was the medical correspondent on CNN. He said the best way to do it is to sing happy birthday 2 times in a row. He said that while you're washing your hands. I don't do that. I do it for 22 seconds. But the basic thing is wash the hands good. Soap, plenty of soap and water. And, if you have masks, you can wash. I have masks here, but I wash them a few times, and then when they get out of shape, I throw them out. But so far, knock on wood, I'm fine. I'm in one of those categories I gotta watch because I'm diabetic, and it's under control right now, so but I have that and everything else. But for the most part, I'm healthy, I'm happy and grateful, and I want to stay that way. Well, one more thing I want to talk about. What do you think of that? Did you hear the news? Fox News. I call it state television for the Republican Party for Donald Trump. Well, anyway, they got their ass sued. I love it, love it. I was wondering, it was a matter of time, but they got sued by this voting machine company. Again, it slips my mind. But they sued. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, boy, I have a hell of a time reading my own writing. But I have here $2.7 billion. The lawsuit was filed against Fox News. Oh, here, by Voting Tech. I'm not sure if that's the name, Voting Tech Company, or the type of company it was. Well, I think it might be Voting Tech. I think that's the name. But they filed a $2.7 billion lawsuit against Fox News and against some individuals at Fox News. And Rudy Giuliani was one of them, and Lou Dobbs was another one. There were several people mentioned. And by the way, Lou Dobbs no longer has a job. I love it. You know, a few years back I used to follow Lou Dobbs because he seemed to make sense when he was involved with the financial aspect. But he just somehow got sucked in with the right-wing nut jobs. And I just stopped following him. I don't watch Fox News. I might put it on once in a while to see what they're saying. And I can't keep it on for too long because, well, it doesn't take much. I should say it doesn't take me long to have it on till I hear stupid shit come out of their mouth. And I can't stand it. I just have to turn it off because they don't make sense. All they do is sit there and say, oh, those libtard Democrats, you know. And they come up with stuff and you research it and it's not true. Or it's exaggerated. But their hero, Donald Trump, is no longer in office. He's no longer president. And that's what is so important. I'm going to tell you something. I really, man, for anybody that watched the inauguration and then watched the celebration that night, you could just, it was like palpable. It was almost like, well, I'd say very similar to the night that Biden won the election. I mean, there the afternoon. I came on the afternoon. I remember watching CNN. Wolf Blitzer announced it. I mean, you're talking. They had different major cities: Philadelphia, New York City. I think Atlanta, Georgia might have got involved in that. And people were literally dancing in the street. It was like that weight of oppression was just lifted off. I mean, it was wonderful. And despite what Trump tried to do and say that the elections were rigged, see, he didn't have any. He did not intend to lose. And then when it was obvious he did lose, let's play pretend. Oh, the elections were rigged. I actually won by a landslide. I'd like to know what his definition of landslide is. I think he's delusional, big time. I've never seen anybody like him in my life. How the hell can you sit there and look at facts? Look at figures right in front of you. I mean, he had to know this in the White House. People had to tell him, sir, here's the figures. Here's the Electoral College. Here's where you at. You know, 71 million or something voted for him and 81 million against him, something like that, or 84 million. Pardon me. getting tired here. But I mean, why would he do something like that? I mean, is it just to get attention? Did he really believe it? I cannot accept any. I can't believe that he believed it. Then again, his brain might be so warped that he really does believe it. But I'm so glad we have a new president, and he's doing a bang-up job, by the way. A bang-up job. He signed well over 40-some executive orders. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes now. I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering, when President Biden was a senator years ago, he was good at negotiating. But then again, when you think about it, the Republican Party was not as crazy as it is today. So, it's going to be a test to see what the president can do now with all the crazies in the Republican Party. I'm hoping that his negotiating skills will work in this day and age, because the Republican Party of today is not like it was back in the 80s, 70s, whatever. It's totally different. And I'm confident in what he can do. I'm confident in his staff. I see Pete Buttigieg won confirmation as Secretary of Transportation, so that should be exciting to see what ideas he has. And there's other people that were confirmed, so I don't have them all here. I know the new Secretary of Defense we have. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's about all I have for now. But, yeah. This next coming week's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to have the impeachment trial is going to start on Tuesday. And they have to have their briefs filed by Monday. They did ask Donald Trump, do you want to come in and testify under oath? Whoa, no, I don't want to do that. Should we be surprised? Because if he was under oath, he has to tell the truth. Well, you know that what's going to happen there. He'd never tell the truth. His lies would stand out so fast, it's not even funny. But anyway, thanks for taking the time to listen. Let's keep our eyes open on the impeachment trial. There was talk tonight. Who knows? It might last 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. Maybe a week, if that. But I just think we just have to wait and see. People are saying, well, you may not have enough votes. Even the president said there may not be enough votes. They need 17 to convict. But let's keep an open mind. The Democratic managers there, the impeachment managers, are going to lay out their case starting Tuesday. So make sure you watch that. And I'm not sure if they're going to need to call any witnesses, because you know what the witnesses are going to be? The videos. All those videos of the rioters smashing the Capitol, the windows in the Capitol, and forcing their way in, and the sayings that they wanted to kill Nancy Pelosi and hang Mike Pence. That should be dramatic. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see if it changes any of the hearts of the Republicans. I'm not going to hold my breath, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, people, I am done. I am finished up here with what I wanted to talk about. Just remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, I go as John I Fly, JOHNIFLY, on YouTube, and I go as my real name on Facebook, John Unell or John R. Unell. I'm not sure. I think it's John R. Unell, Unell, on Facebook. And subscribe to my channel on YouTube if you haven't already. Please feel free to comment. Like it, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And I appreciate you taking the time to view. I wanted to do live last night. But I'm having problems connecting. So I got to figure out what's going on there. But anyway, have a good night, people. Remember, wash your hands, wear a mask, social distance, and keep your distance from nasty-ass people. We want you around for a while. Okay, have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.